What's one thing that you would like to share today for anyone who might be listening or watching?
Who you really want to be, what you're striving for. The moment you have that clear, then you can move forward in clarity, confidence, and with purpose, of course. So, my journey of leadership starts there, leading people to realizing that, hey, I can do more than this, I can be more than this. Much as the social standards say this, but I can defy the social status and be who I'm called to be. If you own your story, that means you appreciate who you are, you appreciate the challenges you faced. Now you've got to come up with a solution so that you can move forward. Ladies, own your story and step into your next level of success with clarity, confidence, and purpose.
Hi there. Welcome to Unspeakable Leadership, a space that transcends time, borders, and barriers to reclaim our stories as women of color, leading in organizations, communities, and in our own lives. I'm your host, Rohene Bajra. With a 20-year career trajectory of leadership, an aspiring storyteller, mom of a son and a fur baby, first-generation immigrant, an uninvited guest in Canada, I want to thank you for being on this journey with me. Let us grow together in conversation. Hi there. There is a moment in every woman's story when she realizes she cannot stay where she is, physically, metaphorically, and emotionally. Even if it's familiar, even if it's safe, and even if others call it success. I remember once being told, "Jump and I'll catch you." These words, they were words that I had been hoping for, and yet they echoed in my ears like a promise in the dark. But let me tell you the truth, my sister. Even though I had wanted these words and waited for them for so long, the jump wasn't the scary part. It was trusting that I would be caught. That moment, that free fall, that in-between space where the ground disappears and the net hasn't shown up yet. That, for me, describes when we are becoming the woman we are. So, if you are standing at the edge of your next act, wondering if the leap is worth it, this episode is for you. The leap is worth it, and I'd love to share 3 pieces of wisdom with you. Now, before I take you on this journey of soul reminders, let me first introduce you to our featured guest for this episode, who will provide a short yet powerful glimpse into the world of coaching. I'm about to welcome a local, incredible woman from Vancouver who is doing not only incredible business, but also championing success for various communities. Irene Nviri is a certified life coach, speaker, and community advocate in Canada. She helps individuals unlock their potential, specializing in immigrant success. She empowers immigrants and many other communities to build fulfilling and prosperous lives. Through coaching and mentorship, she provides tools, strategies, and mindset shifts to overcome challenges and seize opportunities. Beyond coaching, Irene fosters cultural understanding through language and cultural training workshops. As the founder of Emerge and Soar Consultancy Incorporated, she's dedicated to personal growth and transformation. I imagine you're not surprised in why we wanted to feature Irene in this special segment of our episode of Unspeakable Leadership. Irene, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Rohene. Thank you for hosting me. I'm very excited and delighted to be on this show, and all welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And Irene, we heard a little bit about you as part of your bio and what you've done. And at the same time, I always know that behind the bio is immense stories. So start us off with what has your leadership journey looked like for you?
Yeah, this is a long journey and it is
Mhm,
still going. It's not ended yet, by the way. But I started off in Uganda as a food scientist and I moved to Canada in 2017. So when I came to Canada, I did several things in my
mhm,
industry, but I realized that I wasn't kind of fitting in a sense that I was not getting what I expected to get from the industry. So I had to switch gears. And then I went
mhm.
into construction, I went into support work, and now I'm in coaching and training.
Thank
And
you.
someone might be wondering, how does she come from food science to life coaching? That is a big question that many people ask, but I would like to clear that today. Probably that will help us as we move forward to show you how transformation can happen. So, as a food scientist in Uganda, I used to empower groups of entrepreneurs with skills
Mhm,
and knowledge to transform food raw materials into shelf stable food products. For example, if someone had mangoes, they would process juice, bottle it, and sell it off.
mhm,
If someone had milk, they would make yogurt or ice cream and sell it off. So they are advancing, they're transforming the raw material into a product that has more value. That's exactly what I did. And through
mhm,
doing this, I noticed two things: that the people that I always worked with, or most of the time, they had less education and they had less
mhm.
funds. In other
Yeah.
words, these are people who did not have so much to work with. And
Yeah.
being in the rural areas of Uganda, it feels different. Places where
Mm,
there's no electricity, the roads are not done, clean water and everything. But we did our best with these groups of people to
mm,
make sure that with what they have, they can still do something to better their lives. So through doing all this, they were able to get some income for their families, take care of their children, pay school
mm,
fees, kind of have health care and all the other things they needed. We had a lot of success, though not everyone succeeded to the same level. So
mhm.
that transformation that I saw in these individuals and the transformation of a raw material into a finished product is the same transformation I'm moving with into coaching and training, because it's a matter of changing our mindset, knowing that
Mm,
with what we have, we can still do something. So my journey of leadership starts there, leading people to realizing that, hey, I can do more than this. I can
mm.
be more than this. Much as the social standards say this, but I can defy the social status and be who I'm called to be. So that's
Oh,
how I lead.
I absolutely love that, Irene. Like even giving that metaphor of from a raw material to a finished product, and how being in the food science industry gave you that beautiful perspective of being able to say, well, how may I take this forward, not only for myself in what feels like the layers of reinvention that you've been on, also in your coaching philosophy. I would love to hear from you. So you went on to found an incredible coaching and consulting um, uh, business, Emerge and Soar. Tell us a little bit about what does Emerge and Soar Consultancy Incorporate do, and what's your mission?
Okay, thank you for asking. So, imagine Soar, just to take you back a little bit, before I
Mhm,
left my country, I used to be an entrepreneur. So, I still am. The reason
mhm,
as to why I'm bringing this in is that sometimes people might think, okay, I used to be this, I can't be this here.
mhm.
This is just a message to let you know that regardless of where you are, you can start afresh or you
Yeah.
can add on where you stopped or where you had ended. So I had a food production business So when I came here, my entrepreneurial spirit continued, hence pursuing the company Emerge and Soar. That's how it was born. But the main reason as to why this was born is because I struggled a lot when I came. As an
Mm-hmm.
immigrant, as a Black woman, I had
Yeah.
so many struggles. I had financial stress. I had career decisions. What do I do when and how do I go about this? And so
Yeah.
through the years, I observed that many fellow immigrants, just like me, were stuck in
Mm.
this survival mode. I call it a
Yeah.
survival mode because you're kind of floating. You're there, but you're not there. You know you're there, but that's not where you want to be. But you just
Yeah.
have to keep the balance of things so that you can survive for the period.
Yeah.
And so the question normally comes, now that you have shelter, you have a place to stay,
Mm.
and you have a job,
Yeah.
what next?
Mm.
Is that it for you? Is that how
Right.
life is going to look like until the end?
Right.
So that's when Emerge and Soar comes in with a strategy
Mm-hmm.
to help immigrants, especially the women, to
Mm-hmm.
shift from the survival mode to a thriving
Mm.
situation or status.
Right.
You have a job, you can earn some money to put food on the table, to take care of your bills and everything else. That is not the end of it all. Don't you have any bigger dreams beyond that?
Mm.
Because when I came to Canada, of course, I was looking for better. And for
Right.
sure, Canada has a lot of opportunities, a lot,
Mm.
limitless opportunities. But it's entirely up to you to realize where these are. Also,
Mm-hmm.
it comes back to who you really want to be, what you're
Yeah.
striving for. The moment you have that clear, then you can move forward in clarity, confidence, and with purpose, of course.
Yeah.
So, Emergent Soar is here to provide a safe and comfortable environment for all
Mm.
immigrant women to grow, to thrive, to explore, to expand as much as they can so that they
Yeah.
can live life in full.
Oh, that. Oh my gosh. I can see even the imagery in the words that you've chosen for your business, like emerge and soar, and how much of that is nested in how you hold people in a space of transition, a space of safety, and then a space of dreaming big. Those are such key pillars that I'm hearing come out of your consulting practice and your coaching practice. Irene, the theme of the season is her next act. In in one sentence, what does her next act mean to you?
Okay, her next act
Hmm.
is owning your story,
Yeah,
okay, and step into the next level of your life. When I
yeah,
say next level, I mean the level of thriving.
yeah,
Own your story and step into the next level of your success. So, what is
hmm,
holding you back?
hmm,
If you own your story, that means you appreciate who you are, you appreciate the challenges you've faced. Now you've got to come up with a solution so that you can move forward.
hmm,
Otherwise, if you do not own your story, you're going to live in denial. How do you progress without acknowledging your challenges, without knowing your desires or your aspirations? So, again, ladies, own your story and
hmm.
step into your next level of success with clarity, confidence, and purpose.
Oh, I felt it. I felt it in my bones, Irene. Just hearing that message, and it's so powerful. And you are. I just want to acknowledge you are a living embodiment of the words that you've shared, both in how you're present. Um, when we met just a few months ago, just that's the aura that you carry around you. And for those of you who are listening to our podcast and don't have the perhaps the privilege of seeing our faces, I just want to just uplift something that's powerful. Behind Irene on her wall is this incredibly beautiful mural. and I'm going to read the words that are standing behind her and alongside her. And that is, don't ever be afraid to dream too big. Nothing is impossible if you believe in yourself. I appreciate you, Irene. You can achieve it. Like, just even have those words behind you and then seeing the living embodiment of what you're saying, Irene, is powerful and a gift that you're giving to us today. So I end our time with one final question. And that is, you've already given such powerful gifts, tips, and strategies. So here is my final question. If somebody wanted to work with you and you wanted them to take you up on Emerge and Soar, what's one thing that you would like to share today for anyone who might be listening or watching?
Thank you so much, Rohene, for giving me this opportunity. For the listeners out there, just to reassure you, I purpose my life to serve. And just as Rohene has read those words behind me, those are not only for you who is viewing, but they are for me as well. Every day when I look at those words, they fuel my day
Yeah.
to keep chasing for my big dreams. I'm not yet there. So, for my listeners, if you want really to thrive, to emerge from wherever you are, to soar even beyond the standards of this society or what you expect you could ever achieve, it starts with self discovery. Self discovery helps you to understand your values, your purpose, your weaknesses or shortfalls, your aspirations, and your passions. When all that is combined, it helps you to envision the life that you want because then you're taking decisions with clarity, with purpose, and with confidence. So, viewers out there and listeners, you're very welcome to join me on a self discovery journey. I have free sessions that we can link up so that we can find out if we're a perfect match for each other. And then we can go through your situation or your needs, and then we can tailor a package just for you because we are all different and we all face different situations. So our needs might be different, and so the solutions could be different. Therefore, I'm ready to tailor a solution for you so that you can thrive.
I love it. I love it, Irene. Thank you for that beautiful call in, the invitation for customization, and the opportunity to work with you. Thank you so much for being our first featured special guest on Unspeakable Leadership for this short segment. I appreciate your time and energy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Roheen, for giving me the opportunity to share with your audience. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I know I'm interrupting the conversation, and I also know that you are busy. But if you could spare a minute or two, please leave a review. The more that we can share this conversation, the more we can do incredible things. It would mean the world to me. Thanks. I'm so appreciative of what Irene shared. Clarity and purpose are crucial whispers to me, as I imagine they are to you too. As I think about the free fall and the flight of jumping into the unknown, three reminders have been a source of light in my own journey, and perhaps for you as well. The first, don't compare yourself to others. Comparison is a thief, but worse, it's a killer of momentum, creativity, and joy. Over the years in my leadership roles, I have been tasked with designing and launching new initiatives from scratch with no roadmap, no template, and also no guarantee. Now, many of these initiatives came with high stakes, intense spotlight, and at times, even if they didn't want to necessarily say that this was true, spectators just waiting to see me fail. And yet, every time I had to resist the urge to look sideways, to measure my work, my pace, my value, my creation against somebody else. But here's the truth: you cannot give birth to your brilliance while carrying someone else's blueprint. That's not a weight worth bearing, nor is it ever going to serve you in the way you can imagine. Instead, I have learned that when you spend more time in the design and the conceptual phase of anything brand new, that time is investment and it's crucial. Something that I think you can apply not only to your leadership, but to your life as well. These are some questions that I've had to think about in that design phase. What does my success look like? What does my soul need to live out? And what would lift my team rather than weigh us down? When I began to ask these questions, I started to see clear signs into what would be my blueprint and ultimately a collective success. It also allowed me to create different metrics of success that were achievable, contextual, and felt like they aligned. So I wanted to offer you a tool that I have adapted over time. It's a visualization. Now, you can do this either by visualizing it and imagining it, but the real, I would say, strength comes in you creating it, writing it, drawing it out. So picture a tree, and the trunk holds all your non-negotiables. Think about your trunk being connected to your roots and your trunk being a symbolism of your why, what you will allow and what you won't. Write these down in your trunk. As you develop your tree, create your branches. Your branches become your goals. Make them clear, make them achievable, time sensitive, specific, measurable. And if you're wondering, isn't this the smart analogy? It is. But here's what I want you to really know about your goals and your branches is the more clear you make them, the more your leaves are going to be able to tell you how you are succeeding. So speaking of your leaves become your visible impact, the actual tangible outcomes you want to bring to fruition. Now, often when we're creating metrics of success that become the outcomes, we're relying on numbers. Why? Because systems often tell us that the higher you go, the more success you're achieving. I'm going to invite you to disrupt that. When you write out your leaves, which become your tangible outcomes, add things like emotions, feelings, what the transformation might look like. Because when we start to look for different layers of success, we actually start to manifest different layers of success. So I invite you this week, next week, at some point, take time to map out your trunk, your branches, and your leaves so that when you are thinking of defining success on your own terms, you're creating a bit of a mini design and concept of your next act. And when you're tempted, because we all are, to compare, come back to your own tree to remind you of where your power lives. The second area of wisdom is that motivation to scale will shift. May we honor this. I want to tell you a little bit about my first half marathon. Now, some of you have heard me speak about it. It happened in 2019, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the before part. You see, when I decided to run my first half marathon, I was the epitome of a couch potato. And I don't mean that in a self-deprecating way. I just acknowledge that I had not been exercising, working out in any way that would have given anyone the impression that I would be able to go from sitting on the couch to running a half marathon. Yet I did. I made the decision that I was going to run, And I did what I think anyone would want to do, which was figure out a really great training regime. And I was fortunate that I had a trainer through the running room. So, shout out to the running room, who was able to support not just me, but a number of us who were also first timers. So, when I trained for my half marathon, so many things changed and they actually connected in with my leadership. You see, during our training, my instructor had created a schedule, and the schedule was really about building endurance. And I remember vividly, although the first couple of kilometers were hard, the training up to the 10-kilometer mark, that actually was manageable. I found somehow that my body was able to get back into gear and find a way to build up the physical stamina. And then one Sunday morning, as we gathered at the corner outside the running room, where we would often be stretching and kind of getting prepared, this had been something I had been now doing for almost 8 weeks. We began our first 12-kilometer run through an incredible terrain of forest and also streets. Now, Sundays were scheduled for our long run, so I knew mentally that this was going to happen. But I can't tell you how painful the last 2 kilometers were, to the point that I ended up pulling a muscle, and after seeing my physio, surrendered to the words that I had dreaded. Rohene, you need to rest. I have to say, I fought both physically and mentally the need to rest. Yet, as I looked at my leg, seeing it all taped up, I realized that I just had to follow these words of wisdom. So, for 2 weeks, between icing and applying heat, while feeling very sorry for myself, I rested. It was also in this time that I realized the significance of that milestone. And so when I actually ran my first 21-kilometer half marathon run, the motivation shifted at the 12-kilometer mark and the 17-kilometer mark. Two very different walls I needed to climb. It actually wasn't my body that I needed to convince. It was my mind. Leadership works the same way. What initially fueled you won't always sustain you when you are ready for your next act. What became the focus of your business may need to evolve with a different pace, tools, and different pep talks. So here's the thing with motivation. You may have outgrown your old rhythms. That's not failure. That's growth. Sometimes the answer isn't to push harder, but to pause longer. Sometimes the breakthroughs don't come with just exercise more grit, but rather through grace. Grace for yourself and where you are in this race or journey. So as we think about what type of motivation do we need that's different and matches where we need to scale, ask yourself, what season am I in? What kind of support do I need now? And what tools no longer serve me? You don't have to finish this race at someone's pace. You just need to finish it in your truth. My final piece of wisdom is something that I hold very dear to me, and something that I've only in the last, I would say, several years really started to acknowledge. And that is the importance of grieving the loss of the versions of ourselves and to make room for the women we are becoming. In one of my signature keynotes, a love letter to future me, which I had the pleasure of delivering at the 2024 Visibility Women's Conference in Montreal, I spoke about this, the process of grief being one of tenderness and critical importance. Every time you leap forward, you must say goodbye to something or someone. And sometimes that someone is you. I don't think we talk enough about the grief that comes with growth. The version of you that had to be strong all the time, the one who played small to keep the peace or be safe, or the one who tolerated the role, the title, the relationship, even when it stopped listening and serving her. As I delivered my keynote, I invited each woman, as I'm going to invite you to do as well, to place a hand over your heart. And if you feel called to close your eyes, please do so. And silently say to the many versions of you, thank you. I honor you for getting me here. I release you with love. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And as you exhale, may you feel the space that you've created. It's in this space that your future self will grow. You are not who you were. And that's a sacred loss worth grieving. Part of my keynote involved a call to action, which I offer to you today. Write a letter to your future self. Tell her all about you. Tell her about the things that you used to dream of, the things that weighed you down. Tell her all about the moments that lit you up and the moments that you also dreaded. Because your future you is going to need to remember who she was as she slowly becomes who she is. And if that doesn't spark for you, then hold a ceremony by lighting a candle, burning incense, or whatever feels right to honor the sacredness of change and transformation that you are going through. And when you're done, either of these or whatever feels aligned, say thank you and then let her go. Because your next act can't begin until you bless what came before. My sister, your leap is not reckless. It's righteous. And though it might feel like a free fall, let me remind you, you are not falling. You are being held by your own wisdom, by women who came before you, and by ancestors who whisper, we've been waiting for you to jump. This season, may you choose alignment over achievement. May you honor your grief and protect your joy. And may you know deep in your bones that your next act is already unfolding, softly, boldly, divinely. Jump, and you'll catch yourself and be surrounded by others who will too.